Do you struggle to feel safe with money? In case we haven't met yet, I'm Jess Go. I'm the sole founder of Life in Confidence, and I know this story way too well. In fact, I was brought up in it. And I'm going to share with you the 5 different money personality types when it comes to money trauma. And you have the spender, the hoarder, the gambler, the risk taker, and the hippie. So I'm going to share these different personality types through my personal journey with my money traumas so you can relate to them. And I would love for you to share which one do you resonate with in the comments below. For you to really engage and make the most out of this content to bring awareness. So with the spender, right? So the spender is someone that spends money frivolously. They don't really think twice about it. And I look at my mum. She's a really great example of that. And in my upbringing, I would see her spend so much money on high volumes of food, buying food in bulk, to the point where our fridge and pantries and kitchen was full, and it was just too much food where some of the food went off, and it just didn't make sense to buy so much food as if we were going into wartime. She would also spend a lot of money on her hair, makeup, clothes, and she would have so much clothes where she would have more clothes, more shoes than I would. I was much more the minimalist. And she would put her value on aesthetics. That was her highest value. That's where she spent the most money, energy, and paid the most attention to, was that looking good. And what I've learned from the spending personality type, and I used to do that in my adult life, where I would spend money on clothes, changing my wardrobe every single year, where I would just donate some clothes that I didn't want to wear anymore and update it with new clothes. And I would do that every single year. I would spend so much money on clothes alone just so I have a different look. And as well as a lot of money on my hair, because of the way I've been conditioned by my mum and her sisters that I had to lose weight, I had to wear makeup, I had to dye my hair, I have to look good for a rich man, all of these things, as well as looking into magazine and seeing all of these pretty models and not seeing myself in them and seeing them as God, that they're beyond me. And so I remember working in the family business as a teenager when I would receive a few $100 just by working for the weekend. I would spend that on facials instead. And through that experience, I was able to successfully work through that by understanding that I didn't have a strong energetic container for money, because I didn't have a strong energetic container with my self-worth. So if you think of it this way, if you don't love yourself, what do? You give love away. You constantly compliment people. You give to people, help people. You give money away just like that. And that's what I did with my mother, where she turned to me and said that your dad didn't want to pay for the mortgage anymore, and she was in tears. And I felt so obligated to get whatever job I can to give money to my mum. And so I would help her pay for the mortgage, the bill, the debt, and give her money for the groceries. And there was a point where enough was enough, and then I made up for the loss of money and time and energy where I didn't experience that, and I did that for myself, but it got to the point where I wasn't saving any money at all. Do you resonate with the spender? The underlying trauma here is unworthiness, not being able to build a healthy and strong energy container of self-love. Then you have number 2, the hoarder personality type. And this comes from a place of fear of survival, lack, scarcity. There's never enough. So I see this in my father as well as my mother. So for example, I've mentioned my mum would buy food in the markets in bulk because it was cheaper, but it wasn't necessary to buy large volumes for a family of 4 when we couldn't finish it and it would go to waste. I see it in my father. He would buy secondhand vans. He wanted to just keep renting. He didn't want to buy a home. And he would be very frugal with money. And how that makes us feel as a family is that we felt so contracted. It felt like we were living in poverty, and it did feel like that because we were renting in a place that was above our shop. And I remember as a little girl, when it was raining, the roof, the ceiling was leaking, and it was so cold. There was no heater. And I remember there was mice and rats roaming inside of the shop and in our apartment upstairs. It did not feel like a rich life or a healthy home as a little girl growing up in my family dynamic. And so when I've experienced that, I've learned that this is how I need to get by in life, is that I shouldn't spend a lot of money on a beautiful place to rent and do a sharing accommodation where I save a lot of money, but it feels like poverty. And that's what I've learned in my early 20s when I made the decision to move out, away from my family, and did just that. And I felt so contracted and so disgusted to make that choice in doing a shared accommodation because I didn't want to spend a lot of money on rent, because that was my experiences in my upbringing with the way my dad made choices financially in the family. Then you have the third personality trauma type with money, which is the gambler. And I see that in my father. And this is quite common also in entrepreneurs as well. And my dad will take a gamble by continue seeing a mistress in China. And he would fuel his sex addiction, and that was his gambling addiction, was the sex addiction, on hookers, pornography, and mistresses. And seeing and experiencing the gambling type, I held a lot of resentment, anger, and hatred towards my father, which is a reflection in my relationships with men. And with the gambler, this is coming from a place of despair, not having that emotional bonding with mother. So they would spend money in a gambling habit to fill up this sense of emptiness from within. And yes, this is a self-worth issue as well, in another level. Whereas with the spender type, the self-worth issue is about not loving oneself. So with the gambler, they have no awareness that they're living in denial of just spending money to feed an addiction that's keeping them hooked into negative pleasure. And this wasn't a experience that I resonate with so much, but I can also see this, how I would take a gamble on self-development courses and mentors, and it came to the point where it was really hard to even save money. And I did it because I wanted to get out of the pain and trauma that I was in. And in hindsight, I can see that the gambling choices I've made through self-development did pay off in the end, because it got me to where I need to be today. Then you have the risk taker, the fourth money trauma personality type. And the risk taker, they take chances. They can be very impulsive. They don't think things twice. So if they see the opportunity, they will spend money on the opportunity. And there's a risk to that, because the opportunity may go into fruition and they are able to make a return on their investment by banking on that opportunity, or it could become an absolute flop. And for me, how that showed up is that I had 2 positive cash flow investment properties at the age of 27. And I sold it and received 6 figures in my bank account to take a risk on a dress business. And I thought that was the way to make my millions. And boy, was I wrong. I took a massive risk and went all in, and I became broke. It was so hard to keep spending and investing money on stocks of dresses. And I didn't have enough volume of customers to buy a lot of dresses from me. It was such, and still is, a competitive market. And I could see that being a risk taker from a place of ego was very dangerous to my financial situation, where I could easily be on the streets and be homeless because I didn't know how I was going to pay for the rent. And so the way I see being a risk taker now is that I take risk from the heart. So this year, I was being guided by spirit, not by my ego, but by spirit, that I needed to go to Japan and to go interstate to share my work by running weekend workshops. And it paid off. That risk that I took to go to Adelaide, Melbourne, and Tokyo was definitely worth my investment. So that is the lesson that I've learned from being a risk taker, is that when I'm able to trust myself from spiritual alignment, it usually, most of the time, pays off. And if it doesn't, there's a lesson in it. And I was guided by spirit to take that risk because there's a lesson that my soul needed to receive and experience for me to get to the next level. But if we're taking risk from a place of ego, then you are creating bad karma with money. Then you have the hippie type, the 5th money trauma personality type. And the hippie type is where they don't value money. They just give it away to others as if people are the charity. And what that shows up is that they see money as evil. It's not spiritual to keep and receive money. And this is very common in healers and teachers, as well as linking to childhood trauma number 3, the humanitarian, where they've been taught that you need to please others, you have to give, you can't take. And so I really struggled with this because of what my mother told me. Never take things from people if you want to be liked in high school. And I never did. And it was a real struggle to break that habit. I took that into my adult life. And so it was really hard for me to say yes. It was really hard for me to receive because of this conditioning that I won't be liked if I received money, if I received a gift, if I received a compliment. And I had to really work through that self-sabotage behavior to feel safe to receive money. It feels easy to ask for the sale. So I really hope that these experiences and the different money trauma personality types has really raised your consciousness in which one you resonate with. And please share in the comments below, which one do you resonate with? And if to this day you are still struggling with your relationship with money, how can you create consistency and growth with money? Not just in your bank account and in your asset portfolio, but how you feel about money on the inside out. If you want to learn how you can unblock your traumas with money to successfully transform it and heal it once and for all, and experience spiritual abundance where you have a divine relationship with money and that money is the servant and you're the master, I invite you to look into my 4-month container called Divine Prosperity. And through this container, once a month in the new moon, we're going to start exploring and melting and dissolving and breaking patterns, fears, limitations and beliefs, and any emotions that you have around money that is suppressing you, that's keeping you stuck, that's holding you back, that's keeping you in a life of struggle, scarcity, and in fear. And through these experiences in a group container where, yes, you are going to expose your vulnerability in your relationship with money. And this is where the transformation begins, by owning your shadow aspects with money. And I'm going to teach you and guide you how you can experience a fulfilling and rich life with money, and how these tools has really helped me in creating my version of a rich life to this day. So please click on the link below to check out more about my Divine Prosperity container, so you can launch yourself into the new year, where 2024 is the year of the money, according to Feng Shui and in astrology and numerology as well. So this is the perfect time if you would want to deeply desire to transform your experiences with money. It's 2024. And you can also book a free clarity call via Zoom with me to see if this program is right for you, anything that you would like to work on through this container, and through the private work as well, the one-to-one. And if you need to be on an extended payment plan, and any concerns that you have. So that's that. And if you would like to work through trauma, I also have my full moon inner child healing circle, and also my full moon ancestral trauma clearing circle to rewrite your programming from the indoctrination of your upbringing, from your family dynamic and in your ancestral lineage. So if you feel called to attend any of these full moon ceremonies, please click on the links below and you can book yourself a spot. I also am running my Transforming Trauma weekend workshop in Sydney and in Tokyo. So if you are ready for a massive clearing through past lives, ancestors, childhood trauma, family constellations, just soul therapy, hologram clearing, reading, personality reading, and so much more, I invite you to join me there. So you can click on the link below for more information, and you are welcome to book free clarity call via Zoom if this is right for you as well, or if you need to be on an extended payment plan or any concerns that you have. So there you have it, my love. If you got something from this, I would love for you to give this video a like. Share your learnings below so I can celebrate and support you. Share it with your loved ones who are in need of this, and please subscribe to my YouTube channel so I can reach more people through this incredible work to help humanity to heal their traumas, especially their money traumas, from the inside out, so we can live in a better place in this world. Sending you all of my love.